Ahead of the big environmental meeting, Stockholm Plus 50, commemorating 50 years of global environmental action and accelerating work for a sustainable and inclusive future, national consultations were held in Zimbabwe. The consultations offered a platform to give input on what effects climate change and biodiversity loss have on our country and what needs to be done going forward. Many have taken the chance to share their insights. You have engaged in discussions across sectors.
I strongly believe that climate action should not only be embedded in our policy, but also localized through hybridization with local indigenous knowledge systems in building resilience. Investing in child-centered climate action and environmental protection is key in tackling the issue of environmental harm inclusively.
And when you talk of green buildings, it's not about a lick of paint on the wall that is green, but it's a whole lot of activities that are involved. The process that is from the design, construction, to the operation, and finally disposal. It's at a certain point that building has to be pulled down. And how are we saving the planet? So we have to start with the end in mind, the final product that we have. And where are we currently as Zimbabwe?
We have community-based organizations, Arpita Basa, Muma communities maybe. So how better can we make sure that they are prepared to fully and effectively engage in environmental work? I think the fundamentals in our work as community-based organizations lie in being able to have mechanisms that support us. And these mechanisms are supposed to be needs-based. And our institutions as my CBOs, some of them display a bit of capacity to undertake environmental work, but it's not enough, and there is need for these mechanisms to be enhanced so that we are fully able to make impactful interventions within our communities.
For starters, I would like to acknowledge that the Ministry of Education has done a lot in terms of making sure that students learn about the environment. As early as primary school, there is a course called Environmental Science. When you move on, there are clubs called environmental clubs. What I think we can do, adding to what Dr. Ngobizita said, is to make sure that we have correct messaging.
You have shared touching personal stories.
Now, the masculine structure has suffered a great deal since time immemorial. I do not want to disregard the idea that most men are looked up to for offering the support and protection. But I do want to voice out the vulnerability of boys that has been overlooked over time.
From a medical perspective, since the temperatures are fluctuating, there is aggravation of certain symptoms like acne, PMS, which is premenstrual stress, and also water retention. FYI, bad news for the girl child.
Where I come from, there is a lot of gold around mountains and hills. What you see now are piss holes everywhere, silted streams, dirty water flowing. There is really more that needs to be done to protect these natural resources.
So thina njengabantu beLwagwelo siyathaba kakhulu ukufundiswa ikakhulu ngabantu beAgritechs EMA kanye la local leadership ukulondoloza lokho esakuphiwa nguNkulunkulu.
You have contributed with ideas, suggestions and aspirations.
Disability and climate change in this country is still very new. It's something that we hope in collaboration with the Department of Climate Change, the Disability Affairs Department, we can also start ensuring that we have people with disabilities being involved in issues to do with climate change.
The sustainable and inclusive Zimbabwe I'd like to see is basically where there's no hunger. Farmers rely on rain-fed agriculture, and in a large proportion of this country, it's not enough. There's not enough rainfall to allow a sustainable or realistic harvest for these farmers. So I would like a future where farmers are taught and are able to carry out some climate-smart agriculture.
A sustainable, inclusive future involves adequate or sufficient production and consumption, whereby people are responsible, they own up to their responsibilities, and also are less passive, more caring for one another.
I also want to see a Zimbabwe whereby we have actually international standards being implemented, not by certain companies such as Anglo-American, but all the companies implement those.
The Stockholm Plus 50 national consultations have helped crystallize a vision of an inclusive and sustainable future in Zimbabwe, contributing towards mapping out what the people of Zimbabwe want us to bring to the international discussions that are to be held in Stockholm in June 2022. Much work remains to be done, but as we are continuing our efforts going forward, we do so with new ideas and confirmed engagement. Together, we will use this momentum to ensure a healthy planet for the prosperity of all. Our responsibility, our opportunity.